Hello, little pilgrims. Welcome to another week of History for Little Pilgrims. This is week 27, and I hope you've had a great week at home. It's been different, I know, but hopefully it's been a good week at home. So we are going to start our class just like we always do. We are going to do the pledge to the American flag and the pledge to the Texas flag. And I actually have a picture of them that I can show you while we're saying our pledge, okay? I don't know if you have an American flag or a Texas flag in your house, and so I just thought this might be a good way to do that, okay? So let's go ahead. Go ahead and put your right hand over your heart, all right? And let's say our pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's go ahead and do our Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, so now we have said our pledge to both the American flag and the Texas flag. Today, I don't know if you do you remember the Continents song? I may try and sing it, but I'm not, we'll see how it goes. I usually play it for you, but let's go ahead and think about your continent song, because we're going to finish our continents today. And we almost finished it last week, but not quite. So here we go. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Australia, Africa, Antarctica, these are the continents. Indian, Arctic, and the Atlantic and the Pacific are the oceans. Indian, Arctic, and the Atlantic and the Pacific are oceans. Okay, I'm not going to sing it 3 times like the tape does, but anyway, that's it. So hopefully you remember that one. And like I said, today we are going to finish Antarctica. All right, so what you need to do first is get out your packet, and you will see a map of the world. It's called Continents and Oceans of the World. This is what it looks like, all right? And so what I would like you to do is look on this map, first of all, and see where Antarctica is, all right? See, look at that. It's way at the bottom of the world. And the sun can't get to it very well, so it is very, very cold. It has feet and feet and feet and feet deep of ice and snow, and it never ever melts. Okay, so that is Antarctica. The other thing you're going to get out is your worksheet that says Antarctica is very cold. You've done these. You know exactly what to do on these sheets, haven't you? And this is because you've done one for every single continent. And we have a little booklet at school that we've been putting these in. So when you're done with this one, save it, because we'll put it in your little continents booklet that we've been saving. All right, let's go through it real quickly. And if you look at your packet, you'll also see another one that looks kind of like it, but it has answers on it. All right, this is what it looks like. And the reason I did that is because you might not know how to spell some of these words. And so I put it on there so that you could copy the spelling of the words. All right, so here we go. Let's look at the top one. First of all, it says the land is buried under ice. Only a few small plants grow in Antarctica. Only a few kinds of animals live there. And last week I showed you pictures of all different kinds of animals that live in Antarctica. So let's go back down. Do we live in Antarctica? The answer is no. Put a big X right in front of no. because we don't live in Antarctica, we live in North America, don't we? All right, so let's look at the big map again, and that is your map that says continents and oceans of the world, this one. And you can see from looking at that map what 3 oceans touch Antarctica. What are they? One, of course, is the Atlantic Ocean. So you can write Atlantic on the top space there. The second one is the Pacific Ocean. So you can write that on the second space. And then the third one is Indian Ocean. And like I said, I have enclosed something so that you can copy it if you don't know how to spell those words. Let's look down here at the animals. There is a picture of a buffalo here, right here, picture of a buffalo. There is a picture of a, let's see, I need to move this over, picture of a kangaroo, and there's a picture of a penguin right up here. Which one lives in Antarctica? Now we've already seen some of these animals, and we've seen that a buffalo lives in North America, doesn't it? It lives in our continent. And we've seen that a kangaroo lives in Australia. So that leaves the penguin. So go ahead and draw a circle around the penguin. And you can color the other animals if you'd like. The penguin really doesn't need coloring because that's really the color of a penguin. It's black and white, just like that. All right, so you're all done with that page. And so you can put it aside. And you will see another page. And it's blank. It looks like this. This is where we usually color our flags of the continents, isn't it? But there's no flag of Antarctica. And you know why? Because Antarctica is owned by 7 different countries. It's all sliced up into different ways, and 7 different countries own it. So there's no one flag for Antarctica. So what you're going to do on this sheet is you are going to design your own Antarctica flag, and you can do it however you want. Just think about the things that you know about Antarctica and the pictures you've seen of Antarctica, and draw a neat Antarctica flag. Oops, and I think I've got it upside down. I am so sorry about that. All right, here we go. So, not that it matters because it's all blank. But anyway, so this is it. This is what you're going to design your flag on. I can hardly wait to see the flags that you design. I have seen so many Antarctica flag designs. It's been very interesting to see. All right, when you are done with that, or you can wait until we're done with the whole lesson and then do that if you like. We're going to go ahead and read a little bit more in your book, and I have sent you some pictures or some pages of that book to read, and you can read along with me or whatever you'd like. Now this time we're going to read about some different wonderful places that you might want to visit someday in the United States. And these are places that are famous, and they're sort of when people think of the United States, these are some things that they think of. And so what you're going to need while I'm reading this is you're going to need your book, your pages that I gave you, and you're also going to need a map that looks kind of like this. It's the United States map, and you'll see on the side there's some numbers, and you'll see all around it there's pictures. See right here, here's pictures, and then there's some more over here, up here, some more here, up here on this side. All right, these are all pictures of things that we're going to be reading about in our book. And as we read about them in our book, you are going to find it on find the picture of it on your map, and then you're going to draw a picture to the different numbers. Now I will tell you more about it as we read, all right? So let me get my book here, and I'll start. We're going to start on a page that looks like this. Okay? All right, exploring the United States. And if you'll see here, there's a number 1 right up here. Okay? And that's going to be your clue as we do our map. All right, here we go. I'm going to read. North America has many beautiful places that God has created for us to see and enjoy. Let us explore a few of the great places for little pilgrims to see in the United States. Many of them can also help us learn about history. Each part of America has interesting places to visit. Okay, now we're on number 1. So what I'd like you to do is look at your map right here. Find the number 1. See right there? It's up here, right about there. See that number 1? All right. That's what we're reading about right now. We're reading about some place called Washington, D.C. Do you know what a capital city is? It is a city where the leaders of a country meet to pass laws and rule the people. If you can, you should visit our country's capital city. And I don't know how many of you have been to visit Washington, D.C., but someday, hopefully, you'll be able to do that. Okay? Washington, D.C. is the capital city of the United States. This city was built many years ago so America's leaders would have a place in which to meet. They needed a place for everybody to go to because it was too hard to meet when everybody was in all different places all over the United States. Every year, leaders from all over the country come to Washington, D.C. to make laws for the nation. This meeting is called Congress. Okay, we're on this page now. And you'll see a map sort of like the one that I've given you. All right. This meeting is called Congress, and it is held in the Capitol building. The following words are written on the walls inside the dome of the Capitol. When you go inside, you walk in and you look up, and there's a huge dome, and then there's some writing all around it. It says, "The New Testament according to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ." How about that in the national capital? A group of people who work at the Supreme Court make sure that the laws that are made agree with the Constitution. They decide which laws in our nation are just and fair. You can visit the Supreme Court building at certain times during the year. A crier, isn't that funny? They have something called a crier. It's not somebody who cries. It's actually kind of someone who announces things, okay? A crier begins each meeting of the court with the following words: "God save the United States and this honorable court." The flag of the United States is often called the Stars and Stripes. It has 50 stars on it. Now, first of all, actually, before we get to that, let's look here at this picture right up here. This picture right here, that's a picture of the Supreme Court. That's where the judges, the 9 judges of the Supreme Court, hold their court. And that's where people come who have things that they want the court to look at, and laws and things to see if they're really fair, if they follow the Constitution. So those people will go to the Supreme Court to tell their grievances. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the flag, which we've talked about the flag quite a bit, but I'll read a little bit more about it. It's called the Stars and Stripes. It has 50 stars on it and only 13 stripes on it. When the country first began, remember there were 13 colonies. We've talked about all the different 13 colonies, and we wrote them on a map and all that stuff. Well, that is why there are 13 states, because there were 13 colonies. Now, you know, it used to be way at the beginning that every single time a new state was added, they would also add a new stripe. Well, just think what the flag would look like if there were 50 stripes on it, because now we have 50 states. And so they decided, well, if we keep adding states, we can't keep adding stripes. So that's what they decided to do. They decided to make 13 stripes for the 13 colonies. And so then but if you look at the stars, you'll see that there are 50 stars. It's a lot easier to put stars on a flag than to put stripes on it. Okay, so they can put a lot more on there. There's not very many more places that can be states, but okay. So the United States also has a great saying, "In God we trust." That's the national motto. In important sentence like this, saying is called a motto. That's what I just said. This motto is printed on our coins. Can you find the tiny letters where the motto is printed on some coins that you have? If you get out a penny or a dime or a nickel, maybe a quarter would be easier because they're bigger. You can find those words, "In God we trust," right there on the coin. And hopefully that was really true. You know, in the United States, there's many people right now who don't trust in God, but we're praying for them, and we hope that more and more and more people trust in God, just like we do. In the Bible, we read, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." This teaches that a nation can be blessed if it follows the commands of the Lord Jesus Christ. Only those nations who honor Christ by believing on him and obeying his laws can be truly great, because that's the important thing, is to obey God's laws, isn't it? The top leader of the United States is called the president. Okay, he's the one that's kind of the head of everything. He lives in a place called the White House. He should make sure that everything is working well in the government. And he works with the Congress and the Supreme Court and all that to help everything run smoothly. He asks the Congress to make laws that will help the country. Do you know what laws they should follow when they think about making new laws? Yes. Our leaders must make laws that agree with the Constitution and the Bible. All right? The state that you live in also has a capital city. Do you know its name? And we're going to talk about this in a few weeks. Well, in a couple of weeks. The capital of Texas is Austin. Okay, we'll talk about that too. Your state leaders meet in your capital to work on important laws. Maybe you can visit your state capital someday and meet some of the people who make those laws. And this is a picture of the White House. There's two more things we're going to do with this today. I have a picture that you're going to write on, but also after we're done with this, there is a video clip on the website. Your mom or dad can find it, and it's about the White House. Excuse me. It's a book, actually, that somebody reads, and it's a very nice little book. It tells a lot about the White House and what's in it and how it came to be and who lives in it and all that stuff. So it's a really nice little book. I hope you can listen to it. Okay? Now, we are done with reading about Washington, D.C. So what you do is you go look on your map that I gave you. Which picture is a picture of Washington, D.C.? Can you find it? I think it's this one because it says Washington, D.C. So what you need to take your pencil, draw a line from this picture, Washington, D.C., all the way up to number 1, Washington, where that's where Washington, D.C. is, okay, where the number 1 is. So just draw a line from the picture Washington, D.C. up to the number 1, all right? And now we're going to head on to number 2. Number 2 is Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right, in your map, you can look again. You can find Pennsylvania on your map. Was a very, very important state in the beginning of the United States, because that's where the first capital was, and that's where a lot of lawmakers and people the founding fathers lived and did their work. Okay, where is Pennsylvania? You can see it right here. Okay, this state right here is Pennsylvania. It's a very important state in our U.S. history. All right, so now we're going to read about Independence Hall. The city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is another interesting place to visit. Did you know that the word Philadelphia is found in the Bible? It means brotherly love. This city was very important in the early days of the United States. Many of the great leaders of our country, such as George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, used to visit Philadelphia often. When the United States was freed from England, the people of Philadelphia rang a special bell in the center of town. This bell is known today as the Liberty Bell, and you have a picture of that you're going to color at the end of this session here. On it are written these words from the Bible: Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. And that's found in a book of the Bible called Leviticus 25:10. In 1787, a meeting was held in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. Many wise men came to write a plan for the new government. We learned that this plan is called the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution is the most important law in the land, which everyone must obey. Do you remember who led this meeting? It was George Washington. You remember about George Washington? All right, and here's a picture of Independence Hall, and it's actually the whole thing, even this little deal right here. It's a pretty big building. It has this tower, and then it has a building kind of like this on both sides. All right, so what we need to do is we need to look at your map here. Can you find a picture of Independence Hall? Where might that be? I think you might find it right up here. Okay, that's a picture of Independence Hall. So draw a line from Independence Hall down to the number 2. That's where Independence Hall is. All right. So now let's go to number 3. And a lot of you know about number 3. This is about the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so we'll read a little bit about Statue of Liberty. Another great sight to see is the Statue of Liberty. This tall bronze statue was given to the United States many years ago by the people of France. Now, you know what color bronze is? It's kind of a brownish metal color. And so sometimes it gets a little corroded in the air, unfortunately. And so it kind of turns kind of a greenish tint. And so a few years ago, people looked at that Statue of Liberty and they said, that Statue of Liberty looks kind of green. It doesn't look like a bronze statue. So they spent some time cleaning that statue. And it took a long time to do that. And there's people who couldn't go see it while it was being cleaned because it was all closed off. But now it looks beautiful bronze again. All right, it sits on an island near the city of New York. You have to take a boat to visit it. The giant statue lets visitors know that our land holds out the light of freedom to people all over the world. The poem at the bottom of the statue reads, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." And all that's saying is anybody who is poor and lost and needs a new home, come on over. And so this is a picture here of the Statue of Liberty, and you can see the island. It's called Ellis Island. And you ride a boat over it, and it is a huge statue. And you know, people can go all the way up. There's elevators inside, and people can go all the way up to the top, to the crown, and stand in the crown and look all around the New York City area. So let's go ahead and get our map. Let's find the Statue of Liberty on our map. Okay, can you see it? It's right up here. All right. Now, the Statue of Liberty was number 3 on our little journey. So take your pencil, draw a line from Statue of Liberty all the way down to number 3. It's kind of at the bottom of New York because it's on the harbor, it's on the water, it faces this big ocean here. Okay, it faces the Atlantic Ocean. So that's why it's right there. Okay, so that's number 3. Now our next stop is in Boston, Massachusetts. And we'll look on our map and find Boston, Massachusetts too. Each year, many Americans like to visit the old city of Boston. This city was started in 1630 by a group of Christians from England we learned about before. We talked about this way when we were first talking about the Pilgrims landing on American shores for the very, very first time. They were called Puritans. The Puritans also started the first college in the country. Harvard College was started to train pastors to preach the Word of God. A lot of the colleges back then were started in order for people to learn more about Jesus and to learn about the Word of God and how to teach it and how to spread it. Okay, and Harvard was one of those. Boston is located in the state of Massachusetts. It is part of the area of our country that we call New England. The city of Boston has famous old churches and schools that you can visit. Boston also has many great museums and places to see from early American history. You may visit Faneuil Hall, which has been called the Cradle of Liberty. Many famous battles were also fought near Boston during the War for American Independence. You can also visit an early American warship, the USS Constitution in Boston Harbor. It is fun to go on board this old ship and see the cannons and white sails. And look, you can see this picture, and this is a picture of the USS Constitution. And then if you look at it, you can see this other boat right here. That boat has lots and lots of people of it on it that have decided to go see the Constitution. Okay, so they have boats that ferry out to see it, and people can board the big ship and take a look at it. So that is the USS Constitution. Now, let's look on our map. It kept saying Boston is in Massachusetts. So where in the world is Massachusetts? Massachusetts is this little state right here that has a little tail sticking out. Can you see that? That's Massachusetts. And it also talked about the New England states. The New England states are these states right here on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean right here. That's called New England. All right, so let's find, what we're going to find is the picture that says Boston on it. Right, can you see that? It's right down here. It says Boston. And you're going to take your pencil, draw a line, draw it all the way up to the number 4. That's Boston, Massachusetts. Okay, that's a fun place to visit because it has a lot of United States history in it. You can learn a great deal by visiting different parts of Boston. Hope you can do that someday. All right, now we're on number 5, and this is one we're going to talk a little bit more about a little bit later, but you know about it probably because it's in Texas. It's in San Antonio, Texas. It's called the Alamo. Years ago, Texas was part of Mexico, which was ruled by Spain. Spain invited Americans to come and live in Texas. Soon, most of the people in Texas were Americans. In the meantime, Mexico became free from Spain and wanted to have greater control over the Americans in Texas. The Americans, however, did not want Mexico to control them, so they decided they wanted to be free. General Santa Anna of Mexico led his army into Texas to defeat the Americans. A group of brave men, including Colonel James Bowie and Davy Crockett, joined in the Alamo mission. They prepared for battle. All of those men fought hard. In the end, however, they all died fighting for freedom, because there were only a few men in the Alamo, and there were thousands of men on the outside fighting fighting against the men in the Alamo. So it took a lot. So they didn't have a lot of chance. Here's a picture of the Alamo, and you may have seen one, and you may have already been there. Okay, this is a picture. It used to be a mission. That means that Catholic priests lived in it, and they told people about Jesus, and people would come for help and come for doctor visits, and because the monks had healers and herbs and things that could help people who were sick, and they learned about Jesus while they were part of it. But now so the people who fought in the Alamo were actually fighting in a mission. Now we think of it as a fort, but really it was just a mission that was part of a big fort. Okay, so now when the Americans in Texas heard what happened to those brave men, they started to shout, "Remember the Alamo!" Men from all parts of Texas came to bravely defend their new country. General Sam Houston led the Texans to victory. Texas was now a free nation. General Houston was elected as its first president. So before Texas was a state, it was its own country. How about that? And a man named General Houston was the president. Do we know something else about Houston? It is a big city in Texas now, isn't it? And it was named after Sam Houston. Texas stayed an independent nation until 1845, when it joined the United States. That's when it became a state in the United States. All right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your map. You're going to find the Alamo. Where's the picture of the Alamo? Find the one that looks kind of like the picture in the book. And if you look down here, you'll see it right here, this picture of Alamo, all right? So the Alamo was number 5. That's the one that we were talking about. It is in Texas, right kind of in the middle of Texas. So you can draw a line from the Alamo to the number 5 in Texas. All right, that's another really neat place to visit in the United States. Then we're going to go to another place that's a lot different from these places that we were talking about. Some of you may have already seen it. It's called Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. Now remember, we did talk about national parks when President Theodore Roosevelt was president. Remember, he made many national parks. Okay, so this is one of the national parks, and it says North America is famous for its high Rocky Mountains in the west. Can you find them on your map? Well, you're going to have to look on a regular map for that, because this map doesn't show mountains, does it? But if it did show mountains, it would be all the way up through Colorado. In fact, it would be all the way up through here. Okay, this is where the Rocky Mountains are. All right, the Rockies are called the backbone of North America. Do you know what a backbone is? Of course you do. It's your bones all up and down your back. And so people kind of were using their imagination, and they said, oh, that looks kind of like a backbone. So that is the backbone of the United States. Rocky Mountain National Park is in northern Colorado. The backbone, called the Continental Divide, runs through the park. It is filled with beautiful mountains, forests, and animals, all kinds of animals. If you go there, you should take warm clothing, because it can be very cold anytime during the year, because it's up very high, very, very high in the mountains. And here we go. Here's a picture of the Rockies in Colorado. This is just a very small picture. They're way bigger than that and way more than that, okay? So now what we're going to do, the fun thing about going to Rocky Mountain National Park is you see lots of animals that you don't really see in Texas. Like you see moose, and you can see bears and things like that. I don't know if I'd want to see bears every day, but it's fun to see them every once in a while if you're in your car and looking at them. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take out your map. We're going to find the symbol down here that talks about the Rocky Mountain National Park. Can you see it? Okay, it's right here. So the Rocky Mountain National Park, it said it was in the northern part of Colorado. Well, I have a number 6 sort of in the middle of Colorado, but it's really up a little bit further. But you can draw a line from the Rocky Mountain National Park up to the number 6. That's where that is. All right, we're almost done. Our next park that we're going to talk about is called Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Many Americans go to the state of Wyoming each year to see the wonders of God's creation. In Yellowstone National Park, it is the oldest national park in the world and the largest in the United States. This park is known for its wild animals, mountains, and waterfalls. But this park is also known for its hot springs and geysers. A hot spring is a place where very hot water bubbles up from below the ground. A geyser is a hot spring which shoots out boiling water and steam straight into the air. And here's a picture of one of the most famous geysers called Old Faithful, because it faithfully shoots up every little while, and it's been doing that for years and years, so it's called Old Faithful. It shoots water off and steam for 5 minutes every single hour. Steamboat Geyser is the largest geyser in Yellowstone. One time it shot water more than 400 feet into the air. All right, now you do have a video clip about the Yellowstone, and it is kind of interesting. It shows you some different things about Yellowstone. One thing about Yellowstone is it has lots of hot springs, and they're very, very hot springs, boiling. So you would never want to touch them, but they're very interesting to look at. Okay, there's some pictures of those. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our map. We're going to find Yellowstone. Can you find it? It's right up here. Okay, Yellowstone is in Wyoming. It's in the state of Wyoming, and it is in the very top corner of Wyoming, right here. Can you see where the number 7 is? Go ahead and draw a line from Yellowstone to the number 7, Wyoming. All right. One more. It's called Mount Rushmore. Another great place to visit is Mount Rushmore in Black Hills of South Dakota. Years ago, a group of artists made a big stone carving of the heads of 4 American presidents in the side of a mountain. How do you think they did it? They cut the faces of the presidents right out of the rock in the mountain. Mount Rushmore is the largest stone carving in the world. Each year, thousands of Americans go to see this hilly part of South Dakota to see the huge stone heads of Presidents Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. We've talked about all 4 of those people this year, haven't we? So here is a picture of Mount Rushmore. And you can see right here, this is George Washington right here, and next to him is Thomas Jefferson. And then all tucked in here is Theodore Roosevelt. And then we have Abraham Lincoln right here. Okay? Excuse me. They are very, very big. In fact, there are some pictures of them making it. If you go visit, there's a little museum making it. And there's a picture of one man kind of working on the nose of one of these guys. I don't know which one it is. And he's just this tiny, tiny, tiny little dot on the nose. So that's how big these things are. These are huge. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at our map again. We're going to find a picture of Mount Rushmore. All right, it's right at the top. And we're going to find South Dakota. right here, and there's your 8. Draw your line from Mount Rushmore picture to number 8. There you go. So now you've finished your map, and now you have 8 places that you might like to visit someday. All right? Okay. Now, I've already told you about a couple of things. You might want to, you have a worksheet that looks like this. It's blank. What is this a picture of? Well, at the top it says it's a picture of the White House. Who lives in the White House? The President of the United States lives in the White House and his family. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, I also enclosed this to help you so that you could copy it better. Okay? This says the President lives in the United States, in the White House. The President lives in the White House. So if you want to, you can copy that very sentence right onto your sheet. You can write something else about the White House, but make sure it's really about the White House, okay? You can do that. There's not a whole lot of coloring to do on that, except for maybe the bushes and things around it, because the White House is what color? It's white, isn't it? So you don't need to color that. All right, so now you have a couple of other things, but what I would like you to do right now is there's like I said, there's 2 videos. There's one about Yellowstone. There's one about a book that it's a short little book. It doesn't take very long to read, only a minute or 2. And it's about the White House, and it's very interesting. So while you're listening or looking at those 2 videos, you might want to go ahead and decorate your 2 pictures of the Statue of Liberty and of the Liberty Bell. All right? Now look at this picture of the Liberty Bell. It was a very famous bell, and we talked about it a little bit, or we read about it a little bit. And see right here, this big mark right here? You know what that is? It's a big crack. The Liberty Bell, one day when it was being rung, it had a big crack in it. And so they tried to fix it, but then other bell, the bell that they replaced it with, got a crack in it. So they decided, okay, well, this isn't going to work. So now, if you go to Philadelphia, you can see the Liberty Bell and you can see the crack in it, but they don't ring it anymore. All right, I think we are all done now. So you have some things that you can do. You can look at the videos. You can finish any coloring. Be sure to save your papers, because some of them will go in your notebook, and some of them will go in your little continent notebook. So I have enjoyed the time with you today, and I will see you next week. Hope everything goes well for you.